This morning, the trade war between the world's two biggest economies heating up. China slapping a new tariff on the United States.
The announcement of controversial tariffs by the newly elected President of the United States sent shockwaves through the corridors of international power, shifting the balance of economic and political leverage in a way few could have predicted. The decision, wrapped in a rhetoric of American assertiveness and a desire to reshape global trade dynamics, came at a time when national pride and economic ambition were deeply intertwined. The tariffs, designed to pressure traditional trade partners into renegotiating imbalanced agreements, were touted as a bold maneuver meant to reassert American dominance over global economic terms. However, the measure struck a chord far beyond the shores of the United States, eliciting a response from Beijing that was both swift and strategically devastating. The announcement, marked by its aggressive language and uncompromising stance, set the stage for a confrontation in which the established order of international trade was challenged, and in which the ideological divide between two of the world's most powerful nations was starkly illuminated. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. The provocative announcement itself represented a definitive break from long-standing conventions in U.S. trade policy. With the imposition of tariffs designed not merely as protective measures, but as instruments of diplomatic pressure, the new leader aimed to recalibrate the economic relationship with trade partners who had long been viewed as beneficiaries of an unbalanced system. This recalibration was presented as an act of national self-determination and economic sovereignty, a reassertion of the United States' right to leverage its market power in pursuit of perceived fairness. The tariffs were structured to target industries and countries whose trade practices were viewed as exploitative, and this approach was underpinned by an unyielding resolve to disrupt established economic hierarchies. The language surrounding the announcement was imbued with a sense of defiance, and it was apparent that the measure was intended to serve as both a practical tool and a symbolic gesture of American resolve. In response to the United States' robust display of economic recalibration, the reaction from the Chinese leadership under President Xi was both immediate and multifaceted. The Chinese leader, renowned for his shrewd pragmatism and his steadfast commitment to national rejuvenation, seized the moment to demonstrate an alternative approach to international confrontation. His rebuttal, although not delivered in a public forum with overt belligerence, was interpreted by many as a masterstroke that not only neutralized the tariffs on a strategic level, but also reasserted China's position as a formidable contender in the global economic arena. The maneuver was seen by insiders as a decisive countermeasure that effectively undercut the symbolic and tactical aims of the tariff announcement. The nature of Xi's response, laden with implications of resilience and strategic foresight, reflected an acute understanding of the global market dynamics and the deep interdependencies that characterized modern international relations. The maneuver by President Xi was underscored by a series of calculated signals that went far beyond the traditional diplomatic language of mere protest. Instead, the response resonated with a quiet yet powerful assertion of China's readiness to protect its interests and to challenge any unilateral moves that could disrupt the equilibrium of global trade. The choice of words, tone, and timing suggested that the Chinese government was not only prepared to withstand the economic ripple effects of the tariffs, but was also primed to use every available tool, diplomatic, economic, and even technological, to safeguard its long-term interests. This strategic posture was emblematic of a broader ideological commitment, one that placed collective national rejuvenation and the maintenance of a multipolar world order at its core. The implications of this response went beyond the immediate economic considerations. They signaled a recalibration in the art of international negotiation, where traditional power assertions were being challenged by the interplay of sophisticated statecraft and economic interdependence. This dramatic exchange between two dominant world powers unfolded in a context marked by rapid global changes. The tariff announcement was a provocative act that thrust trade policy into the realm of high politics, blurring the distinctions between economic strategy and ideological warfare. In this environment, every policy measure was scrutinized not only for its domestic impact, but also for its potential to reshape the entire order of international relations. The deliberate imposition of tariffs by the United States was viewed by many as a confrontational tool, one that could potentially disrupt long-standing alliances and recalibrate the balance of influence between economic giants. This approach was met with a response that conveyed a clear message. Unilateral measures without a nuanced understanding of interdependent global markets were unlikely to succeed when confronted by a state that had mastered the art of strategic counterbalancing. The audacity of the tariff policy was matched by the equally audacious counter-strategy deployed by Beijing, setting the stage for a new dynamic in international economic competition that emphasized mutual vulnerability over one-sided dominance. The intricate dynamics of this exchange highlight a broader narrative about the evolution of leadership in global affairs. The bold move by the U.S. leader, who positioned himself as a champion of renegotiated fairness in trade, was met by a leader from China whose actions underscored the importance of measured, multifaceted responses to modern challenges. President Xi's reaction was emblematic of a leadership style that embraces deep strategic insight, refusing to be drawn into overt confrontations while simultaneously employing a robust defense of national interests. The interplay between these contrasting approaches not only served to intensify the geopolitical chess game, but also redefined the terms of debate on economic power and diplomatic strategy. By countering a direct challenge with an equally composed yet formidable response, the Chinese leader conveyed an image of resilience that resonated with global audiences, reaffirming his country's commitment to maintaining a balanced, albeit competitive, international order. Within the context of global trade and international relations, the event represented a significant turning point that invited closer scrutiny of how economic measures are used as instruments of statecraft. The controversial tariffs, introduced as a means to enforce what the United States perceived as equitable trade practices, were designed to provoke a reaction and establish a new paradigm in economic negotiations. Instead, the move inadvertently highlighted the vulnerabilities inherent in such an aggressive policy, vulnerabilities that were quickly exploited by an adversary with a long history of political maneuvering and economic strategy. The ripple effects of this confrontation were immediately apparent in discussions among trade experts and policy analysts around the world, who noted that the incident had set in motion a re-evaluation of traditional assumptions about economic power. The implications of this strategic exchange were manifold, as they signaled that the use of hardline economic measures could result in unforeseen countermeasures that would ultimately redefine the dynamics of international trade and diplomacy. The economic implications of the confrontation are far-reaching and extend into every layer of the global marketplace. The tariff announcement, intended as a means to extract concessions from other nations, quickly evolved into a broader contest of wills between competing visions of international economic governance. On one hand, the tariffs sought to realign trade relationships based on the notion of reciprocity and fairness, while on the other, the counter-response by Beijing underscored a commitment to defending long-standing principles of economic cooperation and mutual respect. The interplay between these two divergent approaches highlighted the complexities of modern trade, where decisions made in boardrooms and political offices often have ramifications that reverberate far beyond national borders. In this scenario, the immediate impact was less about the numbers on a balance sheet, and more about the psychological and strategic messages that were being conveyed to audiences around the world. The event served as an unequivocal reminder that the tools of international diplomacy are as much about symbolic gestures as they are about concrete economic figures, and that the balance of power in global trade is ultimately determined by the capacity of leaders to effectively manage and at times outmaneuver their rivals on multiple fronts. The political implications of the incident also bear examination, particularly in relation to the internal dynamics of both nations. The tariff announcement was emblematic of a leadership style that capitalized on populist sentiments and nationalist fervor, tapping into deep-seated concerns about globalization and economic insecurity. By positioning the United States as a nation ready to take on the established global order, the U.S. leader sought to galvanize a constituency that felt sidelined by international trade agreements and the dictates of global market forces. This approach, characterized by its bold pronouncements and uncompromising tone, was designed to create a clear dichotomy between the traditional elite and the forces of change represented by the new administration. In contrast, the measured response from Beijing spoke to a more nuanced understanding of leadership, one that embraced both the imperatives of national interest and the subtleties of diplomatic engagement. The Chinese leader's ability to counter the assertive move with an equally strategic response not only reaffirmed his country's status as a major player in the international arena, but also elevated his image as a leader capable of navigating a complex interplay of economic and political challenges. The broader implications of this exchange stretch into the realm of international law and global governance. The incident has forced policymakers and scholars to re-examine the underlying assumptions about the efficacy of unilateral economic measures in a world where interdependence and cooperation are critical to maintaining stability. The use of tariffs as a lever of political influence has long been debated among economic theorists, and this confrontation has provided fertile ground for those discussions to gain new urgency. Analysts have noted that the incident underscores the limitations of coercive economic policies in an era characterized by multifaceted global challenges. The response from the Chinese leadership, marked by its layered strategy and sophisticated maneuvers, has revealed that the world no longer operates in a simplistic binary of good versus evil or strength versus weakness. Instead, the current landscape is defined by a complex web of interdependencies, where the effective use of power requires not only economic might, but also the ability to engage in subtle, multidimensional dialogues with both allies and adversaries. This new framework of international relations suggests that the use of tariffs as a blunt instrument may well have unintended consequences that reverberate through every corner of the global economic system. The unfolding of the event brought with it a renewed focus on the central role of strategic communication in the realm of diplomacy and international trade. The manner in which the tariff announcement was delivered revealed a profound understanding of the power of rhetoric in shaping public perception and influencing policy debates. The calculated nature of the announcement, replete with a commitment to redefining long-standing trade practices, struck a chord with audiences who were eager for bold, transformative leadership. Yet, this same language also provided the Chinese leadership with an opportunity to articulate an alternative narrative, one that emphasized not just the preservation of national interests, but also the importance of maintaining a stable and rules-based international order. The juxtaposition of these two narratives, one steeped in the traditions of unilateral assertiveness and the other rooted in a strategy of balanced engagement, illuminated a fundamental shift in the way that power is exercised on the global stage. The exchange served as a powerful reminder that in a world governed by complex economic interrelationships, success often hinges on the ability of leaders to communicate their vision in a manner that is both compelling and strategically sound. The event has also prompted a broader reconsideration of the mechanisms through which international disputes are managed and resolved. The confrontation over tariffs, while ostensibly about economic policy, has deepened the understanding that modern conflicts are rarely confined to a single domain. Instead, they are characterized by an intricate dance of political posturing, economic maneuvering, and strategic signaling that spans multiple arenas. The measured yet resolute approach taken by the Chinese leadership in response to the tariff announcement has underscored the importance of maintaining a comprehensive perspective when dealing with issues of global significance. Such an approach requires not only a careful calibration of economic policies, but also a keen awareness of the broader geopolitical context in which these policies are embedded. The interplay between the unilateral stance of one leader and the counterbalancing measures of another has laid bare the challenges and opportunities inherent in the conduct of international affairs in the 21st century. In navigating these turbulent waters, the ability to innovate in the realm of diplomacy and to adapt to rapidly shifting circumstances has emerged as a critical determinant of success. At the heart of the incident lies a complex narrative of power, ideology, and the relentless quest for national identity. The new U.S. leadership's embrace of controversial tariffs was driven by a belief that transformative change could be achieved by overturning the established norms of international trade. This belief was rooted in an idea that true national strength could only be realized by upending decades-old arrangements that were perceived as exploitative or imbalanced. The decision, though controversial, was heralded by supporters as an uncompromising assertion of sovereignty and an attempt to level the playing field. In stark contrast, the response emanating from Beijing encapsulated a different vision, one that integrated a deep respect for the interwoven fabric of global economic relationships with an unwavering commitment to national pride. The Chinese approach emphasized that power must be wielded with a deep awareness of nuance, and that any attempt to unilaterally reshape global trade would be met with a series of calculated countermeasures that defended the interests of the entire international community. The resulting clash of visions provided a dramatic illustration of how divergent conceptualizations of leadership and power can collide on the world stage. This dramatic confrontation also revealed the extent to which international economic policy has become an arena for broader ideological contestation. The tariff announcement was not just an isolated policy decision, but was imbued with layers of meaning that resonated with deeply held beliefs about national destiny, economic fairness, and the role of the state in regulating global markets. The ensuing exchange, characterized by a combination of tactical brilliance and strategic foresight, underscored a fundamental truth about contemporary geopolitics: that economic measures are never merely technical decisions, but rather, they are statements of intent that carry profound symbolic and political weight. The calculated nature of the Chinese response served to remind the world that the art of persuasion is as critical as the application of economic pressure. In this high-stakes contest of wills, every phrase, every policy detail, and every diplomatic gesture was scrutinized for its deeper meaning, painting a vivid picture of a moment when the established order was openly challenged in a manner that left an indelible mark on the fabric of international relations. Amid the unfolding drama, it became increasingly clear that the ramifications of this high-profile standoff extended well beyond the immediate confines of bilateral relations between the United States and China. The event acted as a catalyst for a broader debate concerning the future of global trade, urging policymakers, economic experts, and political strategists to re-examine the assumptions that had long governed international economic policies. The tariffs, presented as a corrective measure designed to address historical inequities, quickly morphed into a symbol of a deeper ideological struggle. A struggle that pitted an assertive nationalist vision against a more measured, multipolar reality. The immediate response from Beijing was emblematic of a leadership that recognized the necessity of positioning its country not only as an economic powerhouse, but as a principled actor on the world stage, one whose strategies were informed by a long-term vision of stability and mutual prosperity. The exchange underscored that in today's interconnected world, every policy move is scrutinized not only for its immediate impact, but also for its capacity to redefine long-standing alliances and reshape the architecture of global economic governance. The intensity of the confrontation was magnified by the interplay of symbolic gestures and strategic imperatives that defined the rhetoric surrounding the event. The unilateral decision to impose tariffs was perceived by many as an ambitious, if not aggressive, assertion of American autonomy. A move designed to disrupt entrenched international norms and to signal a willingness to confront established power structures directly. In response, President Xi's actions were suffused with a combination of stoic resolve and calculated pragmatism, conveying a message that the pursuit of national interest could not be effectively advanced through unilateral coercion. The layers of meaning embedded in each action and reaction during this episode were reflective of the complex realities of modern statecraft, in which abstract ideals such as fairness and sovereignty are constantly at odds with the practical necessities of managing a highly interdependent global economy. The unfolding dialogue, marked by its subtle yet potent signals, served to remind observers that in the arena of international relations, the true measure of strength lies not solely in the capacity to impose one's will, but in the ability to sustain a coherent and resilient strategic vision across a spectrum of challenges. Every facet of the exchange illuminated a critical juncture in the evolution of global power dynamics, a moment when the traditional parameters of influence were being redefined by a series of bold political and economic maneuvers. The tariff announcement and the subsequent counter-response by Beijing converged to reveal an inherent tension between the desire for unilateral control and the imperative of collaborative engagement in a rapidly changing world. The episode served as a testament to the idea that international conflicts, even those seemingly rooted in technical economic matters, are in fact manifestations of deeper ideological and strategic struggles. In this high-stakes confrontation, the leadership styles of both the US and Chinese presidents were brought into sharp relief, with each displaying distinctive approaches to the exercise of power. The American commitment to imposing dramatic changes on the international stage was met with an equally dramatic, if more circumspect, demonstration of strategic counterbalancing from Beijing, a dynamic that resonated with a global audience eager for a shift in the balance of power. The unfolding events provided rich material for analysis and reflection among scholars and policymakers alike. The incident underscored the increasingly blurred lines between economic policy and geopolitical strategy, highlighting how shifts in one arena can precipitate profound changes in another. Observers noted that the confrontation was a clear signal that the era of simple unilateral economic prescriptions was drawing to a close, replaced instead by a period in which complex, multidimensional strategies would be necessary to navigate the intricacies of global relations. The episode offered insights into the mechanics of international power, revealing that the use of tariffs and similar measures could serve as potent instruments in the hands of leaders capable of leveraging them with precision and foresight. The manner in which the Chinese leadership countered the tariffs not only diffused an immediate challenge, but also sent a powerful signal about the evolving nature of strategic competition in an interdependent world. This understanding, gleaned from the detailed interplay of actions and responses, added a significant chapter to the ongoing discourse on the future of international economic governance. The resonance of the event is anchored in its demonstration of the complex balance between national ambition and international responsibility. The high-stakes interaction between the two leaders epitomized the paradox that lies at the heart of modern global politics. The pursuit of national sovereignty must be continuously reconciled with the realities of a connected and interdependent world. As the US leader unveiled a series of measures aimed at recalibrating trade relationships, the Chinese response highlighted an alternative vision, one in which national pride was inseparable from a commitment to maintaining a stable and equitable international order. This contrast between divergent approaches to governance provided a fertile ground for debate and introspection, forcing both domestic and international audiences to reassess the traditional metrics of success and influence in global affairs. The dialogue that emerged from the encounter was not simply a contest of economic policies, but rather a profound exploration of the ideological foundations that underpin the modern state system. In this light, the confrontation can be seen as both a moment of crisis and an opportunity for reimagining the dynamics of international relations. The multifaceted nature of the event, with its blend of economic strategy, diplomatic maneuvering, and ideological contestation, captured a turning point in the landscape of global governance. The tariff announcement, emblematic of a new age of assertive economic policy, was met with a response that revealed the intricate layers of statecraft and international negotiation. Both leaders, in their respective approaches, offered a window into the future of global affairs, one where the interplay between aggressive posturing and measured restraint would define the strategic calculus of powerful nations. The implications of this encounter are profound, offering valuable insights into the evolving patterns of global influence and the emerging realities of economic power. In a world where the boundaries between economic policy and geopolitical strategy are increasingly fluid, the exchange between the two presidents serves as a stark reminder of the enduring importance of strategic vision and the capacity to navigate the complexities of an interconnected global system. The event stands as a powerful illustration of the profound impact that individual leadership can have on the course of international relations. The unilateral decision to impose tariffs, underpinned by a conviction in the transformative power of bold policy moves, was met with a counter-strategy that not only neutralized the immediate threat, but also redefined the strategic narrative in the process. The Chinese leader's response, characterized by an unwavering commitment to safeguarding national interests while upholding a vision of balanced global engagement, sent a clear message about the future of international trade. It underscored the notion that the dynamics of global economic governance are shaped as much by ideological convictions and strategic foresight as they are by raw economic might. In this contest of ideas and power, the confrontation encapsulated the essence of modern statecraft, a realm where every decision is infused with symbolic significance, and every policy move carries the potential to alter the established order in profound and lasting ways. The reverberations from this decisive exchange, focused entirely on the pivotal event and its implications, encapsulate a moment of historic significance. The dramatic interplay between the policies of the newly elected U.S. leader and the counter-strategic brilliance exhibited by the Chinese leadership marked a watershed moment in the evolution of global economic and political paradigms. The episode illuminated the intricate dance of diplomacy, where bold declarations are met with calculated countermeasures that reaffirm the strength and resilience of established institutions. The implications of the exchange extend beyond the immediate sphere of trade policy, reaching into the deeper realms of national identity, strategic ambition, and the enduring legacy of global leadership. Each decision, every calculated move, and the underlying conviction that animated the actions of both sides contributed to a rich tapestry of events that revealed not only the nature of contemporary geopolitical conflict, but also the enduring power of leadership in shaping the trajectory of history. The convergence of economic policy, national pride, and strategic acumen in this dramatic encounter offers a nuanced perspective on the modern challenges of global governance. The tariff announcement, with its underlying message of recalibrated power and economic fairness, was met head-on by an equally determined assertion of strategic sovereignty from Beijing. The resulting exchange, marked by a series of calculated moves and intricate signals, underscored the reality that in today's world, the effective management of international conflicts requires a blend of assertiveness, pragmatism, and deep strategic insight. It highlighted the potential consequences of viewing global trade through the narrow lens of unilateral advantage, illustrating instead that a balanced, multifaceted approach holds the key to long-term stability and prosperity. The exchange served as a vivid illustration of the complexity of modern international affairs, where every economic policy is interwoven with the broader patterns of global power dynamics, and every act of defiance carries with it a deep symbolic weight. In this unfolding drama, the interplay of economic imperatives and geopolitical ambition has not only redefined conventional narratives, but also set the stage for a transformative period in global economic discourse. The announcement of tariffs by the newly elected U.S. leader, intended as a revolutionary step toward reasserting national strength, was met with a decisive, strategically calibrated response from Beijing. The response reflected a deep understanding of the principles of modern statecraft, principles that emphasize the importance of balancing national interests with the responsibilities inherent in a globally interconnected community. The implications of this calculated maneuver resonate with policymakers and citizens alike, underscoring the need for a more integrated, dynamic approach to international economics and diplomacy. Every element of this confrontation, from the initial declarations to the subtle but powerful countermeasures, illustrates the profound evolution of global leadership in an era defined by economic interdependence and ideological competition. The events of that day serve as a compelling case study in the art of modern governance, where the interplay between aggressive policy initiatives and measured strategic responses can alter the course of international history. Although the contours of the event remain fixed in time, its implications continue to reverberate across the global stage, highlighting the ongoing transformation in how nations project power, negotiate disputes, and define the parameters of their international engagement. The intricate narrative of the event, characterized by its compelling blend of controversy, strategy, and ideological depth, is a testament to the complexities of modern global governance. The confrontation has come to represent more than a mere policy dispute. It embodies a deeper dialogue about the nature of power, the limits of unilateral action, and the vital importance of a nuanced, multilateral approach to international relations. As the world continues to grapple with the ramifications of this dramatic exchange, the lessons learned from that pivotal moment offer a clear indication that the future of global diplomacy will be defined by a delicate balance between confrontation and cooperation, force and finesse, ambition and pragmatism. The robust and carefully orchestrated response by the Chinese leadership encapsulated a paradigm shift in the way international disputes are conceptualized and managed. It provided a stark counterpoint to the aggressive posturing embodied by the U.S. tariff announcement, laying bare the deficiencies of approaches that do not account for the layered complexity of contemporary global trade relations. In this high-stakes confrontation, every decision was laden with symbolic significance, and every maneuver contributed to a broader redefinition of strategic power in an interconnected world. The implications of the event offer a reminder that in the domain of international affairs, success hinges not solely on raw economic might, but also on the capacity to engage in a sophisticated interplay of ideas, policies, and actions. A capacity that is indispensable for navigating the challenges of today's complex global landscape. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Xi Jinping's response to Trump's controversial tariffs? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.